Hi guys, I'm Jason Vallotton. Today I want to talk to you about working through pain and forgiveness. Those two topics in my mind go really closely together, and I get asked about how do I work through pain, what is forgiveness, and how to actually get to a place where I've fully forgiven. So today I'm going to kind of unlock some keys for you and debunk some stuff for you. It's so important that we actually have a process to know how to work through pain and how to forgive, because when we don't have a process for that, we end up getting either experiencing pain and shoving it down, or you experience pain and you try and work through it, but if you don't know what you're doing, then you just stay in it for a really long time. And because of what I do, counsel people a lot, pastor people, that's my main job, counseling and pastoring. I see a lot of people who stay in pain for years and years and years, or unforgiveness for years and years and years, or they have shoved it down and pretended like everything's okay. But the challenge is that if you don't work through your pain and if you don't forgive properly, then you just end up losing other emotions like joy, peace, personal freedom, and you're in a prison. So right away we want to understand that pain has a voice. Pain has a voice, and if you've ever been in a lot of pain, you know what pain's voice says. It says, "Fix me now." So if you're not careful, if you're not aware that you're in a lot of pain, or if you don't actually want to acknowledge the pain, you will end up, pain will be saying, "Fix me now," and you'll do whatever it takes to fix it. And so a lot of us, because we don't know how to properly work through it, we end up medicating. So we end up, sleeping with people, or on drugs or alcohol, or avoiding people altogether. We do lots of things like watching pornography to medicate the actual pain that's inside of us. And so today I think this is going to be one of the most important videos that I do, because I think a lot of people will get free just by acknowledging where they're at and going through some really, really simple steps. So let's take a look at where pain comes from. Pain can come from almost anywhere. Most people that I deal with, we're going all the way back to their childhood, the way that they were raised. But it can come through, you get married and your spouse doesn't take care of your needs. A need that goes unmet leads to pain, or you don't know how to take care of her needs, and so you guys are in pain together. It can be because of a car accident, because somebody violated you. There's all kinds of areas that pain actually comes from. The most common for me that I think of would be what happened in people's past. But there's some really simple steps to going through pain, and we're going to look at those steps. Step number one for me is to acknowledge pain. And we've already talked about that a little bit. But what it means to acknowledge pain is that I actually embrace the fact that I'm in pain. Which sounds crazy because, again, everything inside of you wants to run away from it. So when I went through my divorce in 2008, everything inside of me just wanted to run. I just wanted to run away. I wanted to leave my job. I just wanted to get away from it. But the truth is, there was no place to run. And I realized I'm always going to be stuck with me. Therefore, I'm always going to be stuck in this pain. So I had two options. Shut off my emotions, but you can't shut one off without shutting them all down, or face it. So I began to face the pain. And the beautiful thing about facing your pain, Matthew 5:4 says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Guys, that is like so powerful. When you realize if you face your pain, the end result is comfort. The end result is peace. So how do you do that? I journaled. I like to journal. And when I journal, I put on music to journal to, music that matches my mood. It's not always happy music. Sometimes it's sad music, because to be honest with you, I'm not super happy sometimes. I just want to be honest. So A lot of times Christians have a really hard time, people in general have a really hard time with being honest with themselves, being honest about what happened. And so we water it down. We're like, yeah, you beat me when I was a kid, or you took advantage of me, but I totally forgive you, or God bless you. That's not even real. It doesn't match the actual offense that took place. So if you want to be able to acknowledge the pain that you're in, you have to put the right words to what's happening. So when I vent by myself, usually on my own, in a journal where it's safe. And let me just give you a guideline that might help you, or what I at least say, is when I process, it's not a commentary on my character, it's a commentary on the pain that I'm in. It's commentary on where I'm at. So when you're processing in your journal alone in a safe place, it's not where you want to stay, it's just where you're at. So be honest. Process really honestly. The second step is take one thought and process it. A lot of times people try and process 50 things at once. You can't do it. You can't process your whole entire marriage. You can't process every single thing that somebody's done to you. And when we try and do that, again, we're trying to get a quick fix. It doesn't work. So a lot of us have several different painful events and memories that have happened. Pick one of them, one that just comes to you, and process through that. So journal about that really honestly. Step 3, once you've processed the memory, you want to process and write and cry and yell and do whatever you need to until it's gone, until there's nothing left to process. And here's like the sweet spot is we've all experienced on some level, whether you're young or maybe now, but you get to a place where you're just angry. You're angry at somebody, or maybe you're angry at yourself, and you're crying and you're writing, I hate you, I wish you would die. You're writing things like that. You're like, oh my gosh, I hope no one ever reads this. They're going to think that I'm nuts. But that really is what it feels like when you're in a lot of pain. And you need to be able to get all that stuff out so that you can get to the questions that you really have inside of you. And what it looks like is it actually looks like this. So to me, the red gumballs represent these questions, these like burning questions inside of us that really need to get answered. And to me, these blue gumballs represent like the accusation that we have because of the pain that's come. So I hate you. I can't believe you'd steal from me. Just all this judgment. And so I'm just going to show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like to actually process pain. What we're trying to do is you're trying to get to these little tiny questions that you really have inside and get rid of all this emotion, all this judgment that you don't really need. And so when you start to process and go, I hate you, how could you do this? You're the worst person I know, blah, blah. You're literally getting rid of these things one at a time. You're literally just getting rid of the emotion. And finally, you cry, you yell, you scream. Eventually, you get to the bottom of this whole entire mess, and all that's really left, when you're exhausted, when you have nothing left to say, what happens is you find that you've gotten to the bottom to one of those little questions. And that's step 4. Step 4 is when you have nothing left to say, when you've got all the way out of, when you're done processing, you know you're done when you're just like, oh, I'm tired. There's nothing left. And you'll find that you're repeating the same thing over and over and over again. So who's ever going to love me again? Okay, that is actually what God needs to answer for you. Not how could you do this? Why is she so horrible? Why is he so horrible? Why was I built like that stuff? That's just white noise. But who's going to love me again? Or am I always going to be this way? That's one of those red things. Now, take that and begin to ask God. Now you have something to exchange to God. When you go, God, who's going to love me again? And he comes in and he gives you an answer for your real question. now you are being healed by the words of God. It's not the theory of God that heals us, it's His words. And I'll tell you, when you ask about these things like, how could they do that? How could this happen? You just don't get any answers. It's so much accusation and judgment. But when you get all the way down to the bottom of the core of what you really need healing for, and the Lord gives you an answer and a promise for that, all of a sudden, it's like everything's changed. And you want to move to step 5 from there. So when the Lord's answered your question, Lord, am I ever going to love again? Lord, am I ever going to be whole? Lord, is this... But again, you've already processed. The Lord's going to give you this answer. From this really powerful answer that you've given, like maybe He says, I actually have an incredible future for you. Or, no, I want to make you new today. And you go through the process of the Lord restoring you. Maybe it's your virginity or something like that. The 5th step is the forgiveness part. Once the Lord's given you a promise for your pain, once He's actually seen your pain, what you're in, and He's actually spoken to that, it's crazy. Like, you'll have a lot of compassion. And you want to then ask the Lord, like, God, how do you see this person that's hurt me? How do you see this person that's violated me or whatever's happened? In that moment, the Lord will tell you how He sees them. And the coolest thing is that how God sees people is through compassion. And when God sees them through compassion, because He's already answered your burning question, you'll automatically see them with compassion. And forgiveness without compassion is completely fruitless. You'll just have to forgive forever. But forgiveness with compassion is like the most incredible thing. So when you have compassion for the person or yourself, now you want to go back through all these judgments that you wrote down, all the things that you said, and go, I forgive you for not knowing how to take care of me. I forgive you for, and you begin to forgive from a place of compassion instead of just trying to throw forgiveness over this big heap of mess that's only going to fester. And you could say, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. But as long as you have all this judgment inside and no compassion, it's not going to work. So you ultimately want to process to get to the place where the Lord actually answers. Well, first you know what you need an answer for. Then the Lord answers your question. Then you ask the Lord, how do you see them? Get compassion for them. Forgive them really thoroughly. After that, you'll realize you'll have to do this process over and over again when new things come, but you'll probably never have to process the same thing twice. There's a couple boundaries really quick. Make sure that you don't process when you're really tired. Recharge. Go have fun. Eat well. Sleep well. Exercise. Have fun. A lot of people end up in nervous breakdowns or emotional exhaustion or physical exhaustion because they're processing, trying to get through pain as quickly as possible. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So the other thing is, don't conjure up pain. Like, don't go into the past and try and find it. If it's there, awesome. Do the process. If it's not there, great. Just go through your life, and when it comes up, you have a great process for forgiveness and for dealing with your pain so that you can be a powerful person. Thanks for watching.